Welcome to Reunite with Self podcast. I'm your host, Rukan. Here, we will be discovering and unraveling what is truly holding you back. We will put the puzzle together and give you clarity on how and what you can do to create massive shifts in your life so you start creating the life you always envisioned for yourself. No more waiting. Whether it is liberating from dysfunctional family patterns or parenting tools and tips that actually make the difference, we will be diving into the truth and core of things that are simple and yet which no one talks about. I will be sharing with you all the things that would have changed my life massively if I heard any one of these episodes. A new world is awakening, and true bliss, harmony, and peace is possible on this earth, and my mission is to bring you closer to that one step at a time. In this safe space, I will hold your hand and give you courage and certainty that you can shift anything and everything in your life. It is time we break the pattern. Whether you want to be the parent you never had or make a shift in your life so you don't play small any longer, you will find the support and guidance in this space. My intention is for you to find your own answers within yourself while you listen to this podcast, so you feel the bliss of reuniting with your true essence, with self, with so much love and compassion and courage. From my heart to yours, let's keep it rocking. My gorgeous listener, welcome to another episode on Reunite with Self podcast. This is your host, Rukan. I'm so grateful that you're here. I am so grateful that you're tuning into the podcast. Welcome. If it's your first time, welcome. I am so excited that you are here, and I hope and I know that you will get something from this podcast that will truly make a change, make a shift in your life in some capacity. Maybe it will be like a catalyst. Maybe it will be like support. Maybe it will be me holding your hand to give you courage. Maybe it will just be a confirmation to some truth that you know deep down, but maybe did not find any confirmation before. I know you will have one thing at least that will support you to make a great shift in your life. I wanted to create this episode for a while now, and I want to continue with these just to, if it's your first time, if you're just tuning in for the first times to the podcast, I just want to tell you why I have created this podcast and how come it's life-changing for me. I created this podcast 2 years ago. I started uploading. I started the podcast 2 years ago almost. It's going to be New Year's. It's going to be 2 years. And what I realized is that I have found this truth and I have to share it with other people, because my life was basically on waiting mode. As I say in the intro, no more waiting. My life was a lot on waiting mode, and I seemed to myself or to others as if I was moving and doing everything, doing the things to create my life. But I was actually waiting on my life and waiting on myself, as if something was going to happen or something was going to change so that my life would change. But I was not aware of this. I was not aware that I was waiting for something external to change for me to feel different so that I would change my life, or so that things would start feel and happen differently in my life. But I was on waiting mode. And then what I realized with the line in the sand moment in my life, I had, if you're listening for the first time, I had 3 years ago, 2 near-death experiences, a very catastrophic time in my life. And afterwards, it was truly challenging, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. It was super challenging. And that was not the line in the sand moment for me. It was the catalyst that brought me to my moment of clarity, where I saw the whole thing come together as if I saw the whole puzzle together for the first time. And that changed my life. And afterwards, of course, my life was never the same. I started making decisions and implementing them, and there was like no going back. It was not even like there was no going back. And it was like natural. And of course, it was very challenging. It required a lot of energy from me, because to change something, you actually have to use a lot of energy for the change. And what I realized even today, moving through a lot of changes, the change you are creating, whether it's something like financial, business, romantic life, friendships, social life, health, family stuff, I don't know, lifestyle, like anything. When you are creating the change, like when you are taking the actions, it can be like the toughest stuff that you do for your brain, for your like your body, or like emotionally, mentally, whatever, spiritually. But I think the crazy part about creating change is like the caterpillar, like the transformation, turning into a butterfly, that transformation phase, in everything. It's very similar to that, because it's not just what you are doing, but like it's who you are becoming. And also you are shifting something energetically. So it's as if like you are leaving a part of yourself behind, and you are leaving the pattern of being yourself, like your past self, which is not your true self. Like you are moving towards being your true self in the fullest expression. And I believe like the things that we do just requires so much. I was doing something in my work that like I had to create a big shift, and I knew this the past a year and a half for sure, and I've been going through it. It has been very challenging, like the obstacles that I had been having, because my subconscious was creating that for me, so that I would, look deeper and see the reason why. It's not just like the 3D world that we see that's happening. It's always the subconscious. And my subconscious was creating those scenarios for me to look deeper and heal and all the things. I'm not going to go deeper into it. But what I realized was that like the amount of energy I had to emulate and to use was so crazy. Like that was bigger than the tactical stuff. Like the tactical stuff was challenging just because I was leaving being myself. Like as Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, like, there's a book called, How to Stop Being Yourself or something like that. So that like it's something similar to that. I didn't read the book. I will, but it's like you are using so much energy to break a pattern, so that it's energetically requires so much energy from you, because like you're like, this time I'm going to do it differently. It's not easy, but all the self-sabotage or the procrastination, or even like the scenarios that we subconsciously create for ourselves, it's like something repeating, and it just requires a lot of energy. And that comes like, it's super special if it comes with the deep inner work that you do with it, like that you do it also by seeing what happened in the past. So change requires a lot of energy for sure, but change can happen in one moment. And that's what happened for me around, I think it was like 2.5 years ago now, that it was like a line in the sand moment. I created clarity for my life, and I was like, I have to share this with other people, because like how, like this truth that I am seeing today is hidden from us, and it's like camouflaged. The family stuff is so camouflaged. The truth is so camouflaged from us that we are not seeing the true core reason of why we are not self-actualizing, why there may be limiting beliefs about ourselves or about life or things about like general, or why we might have fears, why we might procrastinate, why we might self-sabotage without even realizing. And like I told you, like it seemed as if I was this confident woman doing all the things and maybe like being all the things and just being, it seemed as if I was very confident, but I wasn't at all. Like being confident and having self-worth is two different things, and I did not feel the self-worth at all. And I wasn't aware of it. I was not aware of it. And I was in waiting mode. And I'm saying this with so much compassion for myself. I love myself so much. And that line in the sand moment where I created the clarity, afterwards, I started changing my life. But it was like only in a couple of months that I started realizing there is something in this that is in my dharma. I have to, in some way, have to share this with others, not just in conversations with my loved ones, but like in a grander scale. And that really excited me. But I didn't know how. I just started learning a lot of things. It was like something on the side that I was doing, but now I am becoming even more passionate about it. I am creating more space in my life so I can focus more on this podcast and the Turkish podcast that I do. They're the two like similar, they're the same thing, but one in Turkish and one in English. And I do different episodes almost every week, but sometimes they coincide, but like I talk about different things on both. So if you speak Turkish as well, tune into that for sure as well. And I had to create this podcast to share this truth that I realized. And it was about creating clarity on what really happened in your past, in the family that you were raised in, the family you were raised in, the family you were born into or raised in. And this, what truly happened in your family, and any narcissistic tendencies or any narcissistic dynamics or any narcissistic energy in there has so much influence on you if you don't create the clarity. Once you create the clarity, like this is the biggest and most important part of the journey. This is the first step. Creating the clarity. After you create the clarity, the true clarity, then nothing will be like, if you create the clarity, your life will never be the same again. But creating that clarity requires a lot of courage, a lot of honesty with yourself, and just requires a lot of support. And I did not see that support in society, in the media, like in social media, in the contents that I was seeing. People still circle around the subject of why maybe someone would not take the action to do whatever they truly want in their heart. They don't take the action, they procrastinate, they self-sabotage, or they stay confused. And I now see the true reason why. Like the where I would go directly to support someone would be definitely first the family that they're born into. There is no way that you have a huge limiting belief about yourself or the way you would do something or how life is. There is no way that you can have a huge self-limiting belief about yourself or limiting belief about life if there isn't something in the family you were born into, how you were raised, what happened in the past, what happened as you were a toddler, what happened when you were a child, what happened as a teenager, the patterns, the subtitles, the nuances, especially about your parents, your mom, your dad, and then your siblings. Like, we have to look there. And what I saw and what I still see is that people circle around the subject. And I understand why it's such a taboo, because that's how it serves the system. And people feel so much guilt and shame talking anything about their families, thinking about their families in that way. If the story is not extreme, as the society would call it, but most of us have actually really extreme stories. And you realize this once you start doing the inner child work truly and all of that. By the way, please tune into the episode before this episode. I did like an example of an inner child practice that you can apply like anytime that you are challenged with any emotion. It's a simple practice, but it's very, very effective, and you can do that on your own. And let me know if you have any questions about it, if you have any, doubts about it, if you want me to go deeper in your story and create a different episode showing the example based on your story. We would create a nickname for you, and I would love to do an episode on that. My Instagram is in the show notes. It's Kevela. You can DM me there with any of your questions or suggestions or comments or anything that you would want me to talk about. Like anytime about the podcast. And we can only see what truly happened if we create the clarity, and if we look at what happened in the past in a way that we are honest with ourselves, and that we are like truly compassionate and loving. I think truth is the most loving thing. Like seeing things as it is, as like how deeply a child would be affected by the nuanced, subtle ways that a parent does something, especially repetitively in a pattern, like does or doesn't do something. The nuances, the subtitles, the narcissistic tendencies that someone might have. Like, they don't have to have the personality disorder, the narcissistic personality disorder, or anything like that in order to truly like deeply affect a child. And I talk all about this throughout the podcast. If you're new, please go back and listen to like any titles. Like, I would suggest you to listen to all of them, but just click on the titles that you're drawn into, and like, who knows what it will awaken in you. And I am here to support you, to fully support you, to hold your hand in this journey and just be there next to you, so you feel the courage to look at your life and create the clarity with your life and truly start your self-actualization journey. Because I want every highly compassionate, highly empathetic, highly sensitive soul to start their self-actualization journey and share their gifts with others, because we need your medicine now more than ever. I want every highly sensitive, highly empathetic, highly compassionate, this like special triple power. I want them to shine their light the brightest and self-actualize and bring their true medicine to this earth, because we need you. We need you to shine bright. We need you to show up. We need you to create the clarity. We need you to have the healthy boundaries. We need you to start implementing all the things that will get you to the next level, like every single day. We need that from you. And that requires energy, courage, honesty, and I believe true love, like honoring, like knowing and believing in the love in your heart and moving from there, not moving from guilt, not moving from waiting mode, not moving from a place that you actually have some kind of hope for things to change, with a relationship that you have, with a parent that you are waiting on them to change or to see you one day or to realize something about you or to realize how they've hurt you or anything like that, or like waiting for an apology or anything like that. Just not being on waiting mode and just seeing as things as they are and creating clarity on what it actually costed you. And the crazy part is that when you actually realize, if you continue with the same patterns, no matter how loving you are, no matter how much effort you put into it, what kind of life you will create if you keep allowing yourself to be exposed to the same BS in the subtle, nuanced ways. Because it is time to create a change, and creating that change is the most loving thing that you can do in this world for everyone around you. It's for the highest good of all, no matter what the scenario looks like, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Because you will disappoint some people, you will make some people uncomfortable, you're going to make yourself uncomfortable because you're going to start doing things from a really, from your adult self, and you will start be the parent to yourself, be the mother and the father to yourself. And it will be the most you will start living your life being truly compassionate to yourself for the first time and knowing that you are on the right path. And it's not easy, and it doesn't have to be. It just gets easier because you start creating change in your life for the first time. But just knowing that you are now being compassionate with yourself, although you might be making some people uncomfortable, pissed, or disappointed, or jealous maybe, or just, I don't know. Just creating these healthy boundaries is super important, especially at the beginning stage of this journey. Then you can make alterations, but the beginning part, you really need to create very healthy and, may I say, strict boundaries with people that you love so much. So this is all the things that we talk about in this podcast. I will continue sharing my truth with you, the things that I realize that truly, like all the tools and all the truth that truly changes and shifts my life, and the things that I see, not just in my life, but in like dozens and hundreds of people that I see around me. Like every life story that I see around me, I see some golden truth that I will keep sharing with you, and I will keep sharing with you everything that continues to shift my life to the better. I love you so much. If you're new, welcome. I'm so grateful. And 2024, for the rest of 2024, we have like 4 months left, and it's going to be incredible. I'm going to bring you beautiful, gorgeous episodes that I'm so excited about. And I know they're going to start getting you to the next level, and they will support you in your everyday life, because we need that support. I had a lot of support when I was going through this, through people that I didn't know, mostly. So this is why I think this podcast is life-changing and life-altering, and it is so needed. I love you. I will see you next week. I will see you shine your brightest. Love you so much. I'll see you next week. My gorgeous listener, if you had any takeaways from this episode or from this podcast in general, I would love to know. Please share this episode with a few loved ones right now. You never know how they can benefit from something so small. And please take a screenshot of this episode and share on IG, tagging me at Khewella. That is Khewella. Kevela. That is my goddess wear brand, my Instagram page. I would love to know what your takeaway was, or something you found inspirational, or a confirmation you believe in as well. That would make my day. And you can always DM me if you have a topic or a certain question in mind that you want me to talk about. And give me a 5-star rating if you feel like it. That would help this podcast immensely to get the word out. I love you. See you on the next one. I want to see you shine your brightest.